Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about budgeting as a single mom. Now, one of my goals this year was to get better at budgeting. I've always been fairly good with money and then a natural saver, but I've never been really good at following a system for that. So one of my goals this year was to establish a system and stick with it with budgeting, and I feel like I've finally done that. So I really wanted to share my method with you guys and just give you some ideas if maybe you're a single mom or knowing you're going to be a single mom soon, and maybe some ideas that you can use. If you're new to my channel, my name is Autumn Renee, and I became a single foster parent last year. I started the process completely single, and the whole first year I was completely single. Those of you who've been following along with my channel, you know that I am now in a serious relationship, but I am still 100% responsible for childcare expenses, so definitely still following that single mom budget, and I really wanted to share kind of what I use and how it works out for me. Okay, so really how I got into my methodology of budgeting as a single parent is actually through a podcast, and I wish I could remember the name. I'll try to remember linking it down below. I think it's called Mom and Aunt Easy, but it's a podcast I've been following on Spotify, and I love these two moms. They're always like talking back and forth with all these great topics, but one of the topics they mentioned was like money and parenting and budgeting as parents. And neither one of them is single, they're couples. So it wasn't specific to single parenting in this situation, but I loved their ideas for budgeting and I decided to implement them myself. So one of the ideas that they shared was that they followed the teachings of Dave Ramsey. Now, if you've not heard of Dave Ramsey, I feel like most people have. He's kind of a guru at this point, a household name. But he's basically this guy who has come up with this 7-step process of being debt-free and financially secure, and just basically these 7 steps that any person or family can take to become financially sound. And I've heard of Dave Ramsey before. I think I actually studied him a little bit in college as well. I had to take a class about it. So I wasn't unfamiliar with his name, but this was really the first time I felt that it super applied to my life at this time, or maybe it was just the time that I really needed to hear it. But Dave Ramsey basically has, like I said, the 7-step process of getting financially sound. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm following it exactly. I'm not. But I do think it's a good starting point. And I also have really enjoyed using his app. It's called the EveryDollar app. So basically the whole process of all of this is to use a zero balance budget. And a zero balance budget means you give every dollar a name. For example, if you bring in $3,000 a month, then every part of that $3,000 you're going to give a name. So, if $800 of it goes to rent and $400 of it goes to food and, all the other bills and expenses you have, diapers, childcare, you give it all a name and you put it all in a budget and make it all go to something until you get down to zero. So if you have $500 left over after you've paid all your essentials, then you need to put, some of that in spending, some of that in savings, maybe some of that in charity, like however you want to make your budget work, that's up to you. But basically just not leaving any dollar just floating around. Everything has a specific place it's going. This $200 is going to savings every month. This $100 is going to be fun spending money every month. And these are just made up amounts that I'm making up right now, guys. Of course, it could be 100% different for every single person. But just to give you an idea of how the zero balance budget works. So you have your starting income, you put it all in there for your essentials, and then anything you have left over, you also give that a name, whether it's spending money or saving money or giving it charity money, buying a birthday gift for so-and-so money, however you want to put it. But basically, at the end of the month, it comes down to zero. So for me, the way I don't like to do a whole bunch of stuff with budgeting, like I don't have time for that. So that's why I really liked Dave Ramsey's app. EveryDollar is what the app is called, and it's free to get. I'm using the free version currently. And it starts out with all of these different categories like insurance and rent and auto car stuff and all that things. And you can just put in however much amounts you want. You'll put in how much you make per month, what's going to go to what. This much goes to rent every month, this much goes to insurance every month, et cetera, et cetera. And you just go down the list until you're down at zero. So that app helps you kind of do it for you. And there's a lot of budgeting apps out there, guys. It's not the only one you have to use. This is just one that I've had success with, and it's free. So I feel good recommending it to you guys. But anyway, so I've loved this app because it just goes every month. It automatically goes there, and it's just automatically pre-filled. All I have to do is when I spend it, I just click that, yes, I spent that money. So, oh, I paid rent this month, that's money's gone, it's off, signed off. Oh, I spent $20 on Amazon, that much money of my spending money has now been spent this month. And so it just kind of helps me make sure that I'm not overspending in any categories. And I'm not perfect, guys. I definitely have overspent spending money on months, spent more money on my food budget than I meant to. But the good thing about budgeting is it really shows you where your money's going, and it helps you be more mindful about like what you're doing. So if I realize like, oh my gosh, I way overspent in this category, then I know like, oh, okay, I can't spend as much in this category this month. I can't spend as much on clothing this month. I can't spend as much on food this month. And you just kind of make up for it in your different categories. So that's kind of how I've been using the budget, if that makes sense. Now, obviously, if you have a lot of debt and stuff, that should also be in your budget. And that's really where I derail from the Dave Ramsey stuff. So Dave Ramsey's 7 steps, I should really have looked this up before I made this video. Obviously, you can look up Dave Ramsey if you're interested in it after the video, but I think it's the second step is the paying off all debt. I believe the first step is like getting an emergency fund saved, and the second step is getting rid of all debt that's not housing debt. Now, step 2 includes student loan debt for the Dave Ramsey program, and that's the only thing that I'm not following for Dave Ramsey. All the other 7 steps I really like, but I include student loan debt with housing debt just because, A, my student loans are so small, and it's just a small monthly payment I make per month, and I do not want to spend the next however many years just throwing all my money at that when it's such a small payment per month. And that's just my own personal choice. Obviously, Dave Ramsey's probably a lot smarter on money than I am, so I'm not saying to take my advice, but that's just like the one way I'm derailing from that program if you're interested. But anyway, guys, this program is free and available online. The app is available online, and this, like I said, this has really been like the only budgeting thing that's actually worked for me, and I've really loved it. And if you actually are budgeting with another person, which this is single parenting budgeting, so most likely you're not, but if you're living with a roommate or something like that, you can use this app called Splitwise, which basically you just put in like what you and your roommate or partner or whoever is using that month, and then it splits it like equally for you guys. So if you could be like, hey, I paid the rent, so now this person owes me this much money, and it just kind of keeps it up for you, if that makes sense. So those are kind of my tips for budgeting, guys. It's really just giving every dollar a name, having a way, an app or a notebook, however, to keep track of it, and just really knowing and being mindful of what you're spending. If you find yourself not having enough money or having a lot of money problems, it may be time to take it a step further. I know a lot of people on YouTube have done those no spend challenges, which basically means, you don't spend anything above your essentials, like no spending money whatsoever for like a certain amount of time. Maybe it's a week, maybe it's a month. That can be a great way to save a lot of money really quickly. Another way is, pick up a side income, a side hustle, a side job, a weekend job. I know it's a lot hard sometimes as a single mom to find those opportunities, but if the money's not there, then sometimes you just have to find a way to get that extra money. So that's really my tips for you guys. If you're interested in like careers that are good for single moms or foster parents, I made a video about that I'll leave linked to the playlist below. If you have any more questions about budgeting or how it's working for me, please let me know. I make these videos for you guys as a resource, and I definitely want to answer any of your questions. And that's really all I had for you guys today. I will see y'all next week. Bye.